Hi, how y'all doing? It's Judge Lynn. About to check my volume, make sure it's okay. Here come the dogs. They hear the beep. Here they come. Not that it does them any good, but they come. Anyway, how y'all doing? I just came from Hobby Lobby, so you know I'm happy. Always happy at Hobby Lobby. When I'm sad, I go to Hobby Lobby. And I ran into a lady at Hobby Lobby today. And she and I were talking about how dangerous the place was. She says, you can go down anywhere. She doesn't go to the main aisles. She says, because I'm on a fixed income. And, I can't do this. And I say, you go down. Yes, your basket is full of whole stuff you didn't want, didn't need. Oh, you should have seen what I got. I'm making blankets and sheets and throw covers. Ain't got no talent, but I got a whole lot of time and energy and interest. So there you go. So while I was starting on my throw blanket here, I love this yarn. It's very nice. Ooh. But anyway, I had a question from somebody, and it's a question I think a lot of people are asking, and it's a difficult one to answer in this day and age. He wanted to know. He says, he's got friends that, that are this, that, and that, all over the political spectrum, and it's just so daunting nowadays to have a conversation with somebody and not want to wrestle them at the end. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's excited. You say one word, it hollers all of these other ancillary things, and then you get involved in that. Ancillary, not quite at the main thing, and you get all involved in that, and then you get involved in your feelings, and then you get involved in the then you've spent time in your silo with your people, echoing all of the, yep, they're doing it, yep, they're doing it, yep, they're doing it, and like, how do we have a conversation with people we don't agree with at all? First of all, I disagree that we don't agree on anything at all. And there may be some people with whom I disagree on absolutely everything. But you would be surprised not surprised by how much you agree upon. There are things that you can find to agree upon with someone who typically has a stance that's different from yours, but it can't be the final stance. It can't be the platform. There's an underlying want. Our children should be educated. Everybody agrees on that. Then, comes the problems and the issues. But I read a pollster once. I read a book about pollsters and stuff. And you know how pollsters often call with an agenda, so they ask questions in a manner that will tend to elicit the response that they want. And then this other pollster was talking about. He says, I tried it independently because I wanted this result over here, but I was calling people all the way over here. So as opposed to calling them and telling people over here what I want them to know over there, what I do is I call them and I go over there and I start talking about what they want. And not in terms of politics, but in terms of children or family. What would you like? What would you like? What would you like? And once you find something you agree on, and you can, and you don't tell him he didn't tell him who you are, which way he was going. They didn't know which way he was going. And then you start there and you have a conversation about how well we do this and how best we do this, manners in which we could do this. What if we could do it this, that, the other? First of all, it lowers the temperature. It gets you agreeing on something. It lowers the temperature. Then you have a conversation and not an instant conflict. That's number one. Number two, when I talk to people, I spend as much as I run my mouth, and a sister can run her mouth. As much as I run my mouth, I listen even harder. When I was on divorce court, and people say, "Oh, you read people so well." No, I'm quiet long enough. And I also had information about it beforehand because I like to go in prepared, though I often didn't read it. Because sometimes the producers had an idea of what the way the show to go, but I would see another thing out there, and I would like to go my own way. And then, the EPs started learning, oh, yeah, make the turn with her. She has an idea that we didn't think of, and so it might be good. Hopefully they were. But anyway, I listen to you. I look at you. I look at the car you drive. I look at all your trappings and surroundings, and I don't make a decision about who you are. I just know that I got more information about what you do and what's important to you. And then if a sticky subject comes up, politics, something like that, I say something so incredibly innocuous in the beginning, and I let them talk. Because everybody, especially if they think you're a kindred spirit, or if you're just not, or that you're convincible. You see, I don't come out with some hard opinion. I'm all about A, B, and C, and I'm a this, and this, and this, and this, and this. I'm an ist, feminist, Baptist, humanist, atheist, fascist. And I don't like to ist if I can avoid it, because the isting precludes the nuance of, my views are all over the place. So anyway, what I do is, and I let them talk, and I let them talk, and I let them talk. So then I can see where they are, because people love to talk about themselves in their position. And you go, and as long as you disagree, they don't think it, and they will tell you some more stuff than they thought, And when that happens, I kind of have an idea where you're coming from. And I'll ask a lot of questions. And I ask a lot of questions because I want to know how you got there. And people love to talk about themselves. So that's and not only is it that, it's not only a ruse. I enjoy talking to people, especially people who don't think the way I do. I think it's fascinating. Just fascinating. And then, I hope this isn't too thick. And I'll acknowledge where I agree with them. Then they think I'm on their side. But I'm not. And I'm not trying to fool them. But I acknowledge where they agree with them. And if there's something I disagree with, and that I think they don't have good information on it, I plant a seed. And, being old, it's easier. Back in the 60s or did you know that? Or that's what people think about black communities. But have you ever heard of? Or, well, yeah, why do blacks distrust the medical system? They were watching black men die all from 1940 to 1974 in a syphilis experiment. They had the cure. They simply didn't want to give it to them because, geez, what good guinea pigs. This didn't stop till 74. It was in high school when that stopped. So there are a lot of reasons. When you tell somebody like that, they have to stop and think. And I said, now you can look it up. It happened. You can look it up. It happened. And what you have to ask yourself is, what kind of culture or community can so easily permit this and not stop it, and nobody? So a whistleblower did it along the way. And it's not because blacks are white, one race, business. There are different things going on all the time. But I can't convince anybody that their perspective is limited. If I just slam them with my perspective, I plant seeds of other knowledge that they don't have and don't have access to. Now, whether or not this does anything, I don't have a clue. But I tell you what I do know. I do know that the fussing and the fighting and the arguing ain't worrying. We're all out here, acting up, acting fool. And even within the context of romantic relationships, y'all have to have an idea about how to have a conversation. Don't confront, inquire. Don't accuse, ask. Don't get 99 miles worth of angry in between a statement that he or she said and what you turned it into by the time you got to them. Always start soft and small. Dudes and women alike. I like this person. They are my person. Now I'm thinking my person may be doing something my person ought not be doing, but I'm going to talk to them like a person. And you can have a conversation. And the last, but the conversation is the listening and the planting the seeds and the asking the questions. It's not the cooking and the hollering and the screaming. It's not the names. It's not none of that. People learn, you know what I mean? People to convince somebody. And I used to take my mother told me one thing. And I was on the bench one time and I was trying to convince some guy that he was wrong about something. And I think he figured it out before I stopped talking. But my mother happened to be in there. She used to sit in the back of the courtroom and just critique me. I just loved it. And she said, you never argue past capitulation. Capitulation, that's when people, another word of the day, capitulation, that's when people just give it. You sometimes it gets good to you, the things that you're saying, and then once people will realize that you're right, but they won't say you're right, I was wrong. Now, I say I was wrong all the time, because I find it freeing. You're right about that. I was wrong. I feel so good. You educated me. Thank you. But most people can't do that. It's hard for them. It's an ego thing. It's an intellect thing. It's a human thing. So I used to wait for people to say, yeah, I see what you're saying. And he says, my mother said, you have to read when they see what you're saying. And you can do that and then she said, you read your body language. Women will typically say, I was wrong before a guy will, because that male ego speaks to them very, very loudly. This is not a nag, it's anything. We're different. And it's harder for them, even my husband. My mother told me, says, it's hard for them to say I was wrong. It's just hard. And but just because it's hard doesn't mean they haven't learned the lesson. You got to learn not to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. If you've convinced somebody of something, don't wait for them to have an epiphanal moment in front of you, because people don't like to be wrong. People don't like to be wrong. But if you learn softly and somebody who's cool, now you can't be cool with everybody. But I don't. If you want to act a fool, you're going to have to find somebody else, because I have not got the temperament for it. I'll just stand there and look at you. I might smile. Wish you say, God bless you, and go home. And start crocheting. Do you think this is long enough? It has to go across. I'm making a sheet, an embroidered sheet, and then I want a throw cover, and I just want to make sure it's long enough to throw over the whole thing. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Just wonderful. There'll be a new big boy update tomorrow, because I've been busy. Yeah, I'll take it easy. Oh, if you do have a question, oh, somebody else had a question. Oh my goodness, I'm terrible. I'll talk about it later. But there's one person that had a question. It says, what is the hearsay rule anyway? Yeah, I don't like legal, people, get concerned with legalese, and you see the hearsay rule all the time, all the way on TV. Nobody knows what it means. You cannot make an out of court statement. You cannot repeat a statement made out of court for the truth of the matter asserted. That's the part most people don't get. It's not like you can't say anything that nobody said out, but if you're trying to do it for the truth of the matter asserted, then you can't say it. And the easiest way I had to explain this, so this is for you, is not for you. Somebody asked, here's why can you? If he said he was going to kill me, why can't I say that? I said, here it is. If Bob Brown gets on the stand, if Bob Brown gets on the stand and says, Joe Johnson said, I am Napoleon. And if the trial is trying to prove who Napoleon is, and that's an out-of-court statement made for the truth of the matter asserted. So it's hearsay. Now, it may be subject to a hearsay exception, but he's trying to prove that Jim Jones or whoever, I said John Jones, whoever, I don't know, is Napoleon. You can't prove it because he said it. Now, Bob Brown gets on the stand and said, John Jones said, I'm Napoleon. Now, if the gravamen of the trial is John Jones out of his mind? Or is John Jones acting rationally? Or is John Jones should be believed? That is not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. It's being offered to show that John Brown might not be thinking too clearly. And then there are exceptions to that rule, the excited utterance section, the deathbed exception, the statement against interest exception. But that's basically what it's about. I was going to talk some TPO generalities, but I done run my mouth too long already. Y'all have a good day. And if you do have a question, down there in the thing, in LinkedIn, it says Ask Judge Lynn.